super fun, and all about artisan cheese and more to melt your peaceful heart and toast your peaceful life. Coming to you from the Appalachian Mountains of southwestern Virginia, this is the Peaceful Heart FarmCast.
Hey, this is Scott Hall from Peaceful Heart Farm, and you are listening to the Peaceful Heart FarmCast.
Hello, everybody. Melanie Hall here. I hope you are doing well. The conversation today and every day revolves around the value of tradition, traditional food prep and storage, traditional cooking, and of course, traditional artisan cheese. Topics discussed here are designed to create new perspectives and possibilities of how you might add the taste of tradition to your life. The tradition of Father's Day is a topic for today. It's 2 weeks away for those of us here in the U.S. But first, let me take a minute to say welcome to every new listener and welcome back to the veteran homestead-loving regulars who stop by to listen to the FarmCast every week. I appreciate you all so much. And I'm so excited to share with you what's going on at the farm this week and a fantastic recipe for grilling on Father's Day. So let's talk about the homestead life updates. Yes, the homestead life is humming along. And yes, I'm still way behind on taming the weeds in the garden. The beans still need to be planted, though I have a bunch of them that have come up and some are blooming. But I still need to put in a few more green beans. And to top it off, harvesting is beginning. I've already picked green beans for shelling and snow peas. I froze 4 packages and had plenty left over for several meals. And now the shelling peas need to be picked again. And this time, there will be lots and lots of them. And I may freeze some and can some. We'll see. Freezer space is at a premium right now. I'm harvesting Swiss chard regularly. That's our substitute for spinach. The potatoes are ready to be dug up and dried, and I have plenty of spring onions available to add fresh to any dish. The tomatoes are coming on strong. They're blooming. I've just got lots of small tomatoes all over the place. So they're not quite ready for harvesting yet, but I just want to throw that in there. The tomatoes are doing great. Let's talk about the animals. Happy and good news with lambs. We had a late arrival a few days ago, and he was big and quite healthy, and that brings our total to 10 lambs this year and 0 losses. We've never had that kind of success rate, and Mother Nature usually has her way with at least 1 or 2. We've been truly blessed this year. The calves are doing great. All the rest of the cows and goats, everybody's doing great. The herd shares are going gangbusters. Only a couple of slots left there. So get in touch with me if you're interested in getting in on that. And so many are interested in the cheese. During the summer, we offer milk, yogurt, butter, and cream from your herd. And while the winter then will provide lots of cheese and butter. My schedule may change in that area due to the requests of the herd share owners. Many want cheese now in lieu of the milk. So, hey, next month their wishes may become reality. I do have some cheese cooking in the aging room, and some of that's going to be ready next month. Now the quail are growing like crazy. Scott devised a way to alter their feeding trays so they don't waste so much. They just get in there and they scratch and they just throw it out. They throw out more feed than they eat, I think, or they were. But it's working out fine. The roosters are actually beginning to crow a little bit now, and it's not like a chicken at all, but it's an interesting little crow. And when I go and visit them and care for them, they're all standing in a row in front of the door looking out. They're so cute and funny. Scott's also moving along with the creamery walls. And I guess that's about it for the homestead updates. Let's get on to the topic of the day. The tradition of Father's Day. Last month we looked at the tradition of Mother's Day, and today we'll look at the tradition of Father's Day, and more importantly, why children need fathers for, or at the very least, father figures in their lives. Today, retailers and marketers, in an effort to make a quick buck, they've completely changed the original meaning of Father's Day, as with pretty much all holidays that have been commercialized. A holiday that was created to honor Dad and enumerate his special qualities is now another marketing tool. Such is the way of life in our very affluent country. Let's take a look at the roots and the history of Father's Day. The religious roots and tradition, a customary day for the celebration of fatherhood in Catholic Europe, is known to date back to at least the Middle Ages, and it is observed on March 19th as the feast of Saint Joseph. Saint Joseph is referred to as the fatherly nutritor Domini, I can't say that's Latin. Nourisher of the Lord is what it means. So that's Catholicism. And in Southern European traditions, the putative father of Jesus. And this celebration was brought to the Americas by the Spanish and the Portuguese. And in many countries, Father's Day is still celebrated on March 19th. I'll enumerate some of those a little bit later. The Catholic Church actively supported the custom of a celebration of fatherhood on St. Joseph's Day from either the last years of the 14th century or from the early 15th century. Now let's move to, those are the early roots of it. But let's move to Father's Day in the United States. So Father's Day was not celebrated in the U.S. outside the Catholic traditions until the 20th century. That's a long ways. As a civic celebration in the U.S., it was inaugurated in the early 20th century to complement Mother's Day by celebrating fathers and male parenting. As we had Mother's Day, so hey, why not have Father's Day? And there are actually two stories of when the first Father's Day was celebrated in the United States. According to some accounts, the first Father's Day was celebrated in Washington State on June 19th, 1910. A woman by the name of Sonora Smart Dodd came up with the idea of honoring and celebrating her father while she was listening to a Mother's Day sermon at church in 1909. So Mother's Day is already in place. She felt as though mothers were getting all the acclaim while fathers were equally deserving of a day of praise. I don't know. She might be displeased that Mother's Day still gets the lion's share of attention today, but Father's Day has come a long way. Now, Sonora's dad was quite a man. William Smart, a veteran of the Civil War, was left a widower when his wife died while giving birth to their sixth child. And he went on to raise the 6 children by himself on their small farm in Washington. And to show her appreciation for all the hard work and love that her father gave to her and her siblings, Sonora thought there should be a day to pay homage to him and other dads like him. And she initially suggested June 5th, the anniversary of her father's death, to be the designated day to celebrate Father's Day. But there was some bad planning. The celebration in Spokane, Washington was deferred to the 3rd Sunday in June. Now, the other story of the first Father's Day in America happened all the way on the other side of the country in Fairmont, West Virginia. And that was on July 5th, 1908. This was Grace Golden Clayton, and she suggested to the minister of the local Methodist church that they hold services to celebrate fathers after a deadly mine explosion killed 361 men. There were a lot of fatherless children after that. Well, and Father's Day was celebrated locally in several communities across the country, and unofficial support to make the celebration a national holiday began almost immediately. So here we are in the early 1900s, starting to celebrate it in lots of areas and a push to make it a national holiday. William Jennings Bryan was one of its staunchest proponents. In 1924, President Calvin Coolidge recommended that Father's Day become a national holiday, but there was no official action taken. Then 1966, jump forward another, 35, 36 years? 37, 36 years. No, 32. Oh boy, my brain's not working very well. Anyway, Lyndon B. Johnson, through an executive order, designated the third Sunday in June as the official day to celebrate Father's Day. However, it wasn't until 1972, during the Nixon administration, that Father's Day was officially recognized as a national holiday. So it took a while, but we got there. Fathers are celebrated in our country every year on the third Sunday in June. Now, that's in the United States. Let me just briefly talk about Father's Day around the world, because other countries also picked up on the idea of Father's Day. It is, after all, it's quite profitable. And so many followed suit by celebrating it on the third Sunday in June. Some decided to honor Dad on different dates. So to make sure you know when to pay your respects to dear old Dad, I'm going to talk about two of the most prominent dates associated with and the associated countries where Father's Day is celebrated around the world. So March 19th, as I mentioned before, is a religious celebration. And it is observed in Angola, Belgium, Bolivia, Croatia, Honduras, Italy, Liechtenstein, Portugal, Spain, and Switzerland. And there's, I think there were a couple of others, more obscure, smaller countries. But that's the religious celebration on March 19th. And then you've got lots and lots who celebrate on the third Sunday in June. And there are lots of others that celebrate it on other days that I'm not even going to mention here. I think it'd be kind of boring. But anyway, the third Sunday in June is also observed in Antigua, Bahamas, Bangladesh, Bulgaria, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Cyprus, Czech Republic, France, Greece, Guyana, Hong Kong, India, Ireland, Jamaica, Japan, Malaysia, Malta, Mexico, Netherlands, Pakistan, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, the Philippines, Puerto Rico, Singapore, Slovakia, South Africa, Sri Lanka, Switzerland, Trinidad, Turkey, the United Kingdom, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe. So there's a lot of them that picked up on that third Sunday in June. Now, a few made the list twice. You might have heard that they made the list twice. Once for the religious celebration and the second for the secular celebration. So fathers are important in a child's life. And this is a topic I'm very interested in these days. In a time where men are often demonized at every turn for the smallest infraction, I just feel the need to reiterate the facts and truth of the importance of men and fathers in the family. And it is my opinion that way too many children are born today without a father's loving presence. It has become all too commonplace for modern feminists to think they can do it all. They don't need a man. It may be the biggest lie being perpetrated out there right now. I've spoken of this before and likely will again. It is detrimental to the health of women, their children, and their relationships with the loving fathers of their children. It's just simply ridiculous to think that the full-time job of parenting and a full-time job providing financial income can be done at the same time. There simply aren't enough hours in the day to do both simultaneously and do them well. The reason there was originally a separation of a wife and a husband's duties, and it wasn't somehow to suppress the intelligence and creativity of women and to keep them from the workplace. No, It was simply the best arrangement for the best outcome of family cohesion and stability. There are so many other ways that women can be creative and contribute. They don't have to make money. There was never anything stopping women from having careers. In fact, many did have careers. It was a choice then. It's still a choice now to be a wife and a mother. I mean, think back, Marie Curie. I mean, she did the I mean, so many women that were doctors and scientists and really professional career women throughout the years. There was nothing ever stopping them. In the early 1900s, there were I think it was 1 in 4 women in 1 in 4 college attendees were women. So it was a choice then, and as I said, it's still a choice now to be a wife and a mother. And in today's environment, having a career is still quite feasible. After the little ones reach their teens and begin experimenting with adulthood, moms will sometimes have lots more time to pursue whatever they desire. So, maybe you're starting at 40. You still got 25 years of career if you want it, or more. But so often children are raised by someone else, and jobs, they're not careers, they're jobs. They often become drudgery for working mothers today. We've structured our lives where we think we have to have this second income. And according to an article a few years ago in the Huffington Post, women are unhappier today than ever before in history. And it's no wonder. We all have to make choices. And realistically, no one can, quote, do it all. We all make choices. And sometimes the choice is simply a matter of timing. Kids now, career later. And that's due to your biological clock. Go ahead and have your kids in your 20s. By the time you're 40, they're, close to being teenagers and out on their own. And maybe you've studied whatever along the way and gotten some degrees a little bit at a time. Do it all in a linear fashion as opposed to lumping it all into a limited 24-hour day in your 20s. It's just... Anyway, the traditional family evolved over time, and it has sustained itself over time because it works. It works to ensure that society moves forward in an orderly fashion. And, sure, there are all kinds of fancy family configurations in our world today, and all have value. All families have value. Having said that, it doesn't change the scientifically proven fact that children do best in a stable household with both a father and a mother. And the special family configurations seem to be getting all the attention these days, which is great. I'm just bringing a bit of attention back to our traditional family structure. That's what this podcast is all about, right? And it is my opinion that the traditional family structure is being neglected, pushed aside. Some people, I think, are even attempting to replace it, which I don't think will ever happen. And there are many reasons, I think, for these alternative family structures. My current pet peeve is for the welfare state that encourages single motherhood and discourages fathers from being part of their children's lives. And you have this, continuous drumbeat now of how great single motherhood is. I'm sorry, that's BS. It is BS. I was a single mother. It's BS. You would love to have someone helping you support those children. And for many women, you would love to just be able to stay at home with your children and have someone support you and them. So the way that welfare state works is the money and other resources are severely cut back if a man is present in the household. And so, as I said, it encourages single motherhood. And it makes the life of the mother and the children much more difficult than it would be if a man was in the picture. And for many in that situation, they're growing up in a second and third generation of welfare. They know no other life. They know no other way to survive. And my heart goes out to them. Um, and we encourage and we, kind of like make excuses of how great this life is. No, it is not a great life. So we want the dads to be there. Anyone can father a child, but being a dad takes a lifetime. Fathers play a role in every child's life that it cannot be filled by others or state-provided financial benefits. And the role of the father can have a very large impact on a child and help shape him or her into the person that they become. So let me talk a little bit about fathers and emotional development, because fathers, just like mothers, are integral in the development of a child's emotional well-being. We don't think of the fathers as being emotional, but support, but they are. Traditionally, children look to their fathers to lay down the rules and to enforce them, and they also look to their fathers to provide a feeling of physical and emotional security. And children naturally want to make their fathers proud. So an involved father can promote inner strength and personal growth. Studies have shown that when fathers are affectionate and supportive, it greatly affects a child's cognitive and social development. It also instills an overall sense of well-being and self-confidence. Fathers are important to your child's emotional development. Now, fathers also set the bar for relationships with others. So that fathers not only influence who we are inside, but how we have relationships with people as we grow. The way a father treats his child will influence what that child looks for in other people. Friends, lovers, spouses, those will all be chosen based on how a child, he or she, perceived the meaning of the relationship with his or her father. And the patterns a father sets in the relationships with his children will dictate how they relate to and interact with other people. Now, specifically, let's talk about fathers and daughters. Young girls depend on their fathers for security and emotional support. A father shows his daughter what a good relationship with a man is like. So if a father is loving and gentle, his daughter will look for those qualities in men when she's old enough to begin dating. It will be an expectation that that's what a good man would be like. And if a father is strong and valiant, she's going to relate closely to men of the same character. So I'm going to throw a little aside in here that for women, choosing the father of your children based on the qualities that you want him to impart to your children, very, very important. It's not all about, oh, I'm just so in love with this guy and he's a drummer in a band. Yeah, what kind of character qualities does he have? What kind of steady job and stability can he bring? It's important, ladies, to choose wisely the father of your children. Fathers and their sons. Now, unlike girls, who model their relationships with others based on their father's character, boys will model themselves after their father's character. Boys will seek approval from their fathers at a very young age. As human beings, as we grow up and mature, we do that by imitating the behavior of those around us. That's how we learn to function in the world. So if a father is caring, treats people with respect, the young boy can grow up much the same. So when a father is absent, young boys are going to look to other male figures to set the rules for how to behave and survive in the world. Now enter social media and online father figure personalities. Enter the gangs Enter the unsavory characters that can lead naive youngsters astray. So, again, mothers need to be at home with their children. They need to have stable relationships with the father of their children. A two-parent household consisting of a man and a woman is the ideal situation. And again, just to reiterate, I understand the value of other relationships, but we're talking about the ideal here. If you can have it, that's what you want to shoot for. If it's not possible for you, okay. But if it is possible, that's what you want to shoot for. Fathers are just as important as mothers. I mean, think about this. You know, the online community is filled. There's great people that can be role models out there in the online community, you know, but why have a substitute? Why not continue the tradition that has worked for as long as there have been humans? I mean, have we thought deeply about what we are leaving behind if we think it's a good idea to let the online community of male figures raise our children? And the online community is also filled with evil people who wish to do harm to others. They're often targeting children and young adults. And the primary job of a parent, I would argue, is to protect our children, to keep them safe from harm. We need to be there for them. Fathers need to be there for them. So, as you celebrate your father on the third Sunday of June, maybe you'll ask him to show you how to grill a delicious grass-fed burger. See that segue? Tell him you love him and how much you appreciate him. Now let's talk about gourmet grilled Chevon burgers. Now this recipe calls for ground goat. It's a great alternative to the same old hamburger. Goat, or Chevon as it's widely known, it's staple red meat for much of the world outside of the U.S. However, for this recipe, you can use whatever ground meat you prefer. And the instructions call for using a cast iron skillet with lots of butter or oil. However, the grill works just as well. As I said, you know, Dad likes to grill. He'd probably like to show off and train someone else, a youngster, on that as well. So what do we need to make this burger? Well, we need a pound of goat burger is what the recipe says, but you need a pound of ground meat. And grass-fed would be preferable. Go to www.peacefulheartfarm.com to see what ground meats we have available. With our grass-fed dairy operation, we have a lot of supporting animals for that structure. All right, you're going to need a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, a teaspoon of salt or to taste, and a half a teaspoon of black pepper or to taste. Then you're going to have a teaspoon of rosemary leaves, a teaspoon of thyme leaves, a teaspoon of cilantro, a teaspoon of cumin, and a medium onion, chopped. Then you're going to need 6 tablespoons of vegetable oil or butter. My favorite is butter, and that'll be divided. You'll use that in 2 places in this recipe. So what you're going to do is you're going to put that goat burger or whatever burger that you have in a mixing bowl. You're going to add the Worcestershire sauce, the mustard, the salt, pepper, rosemary, thyme, cilantro, cumin. Mix well. So basically you're putting everything in there except for the onion and the butter. And what you're going to do with that is you're going to heat the oil over a medium-high heat, put the onion in there, and lower the heat, and then saute for about 2 minutes until nicely browned and caramelized. So caramelize those onions. Then put them into the burger mixture. Mix that up well. You're going to shape it into 4 patties. Those are going to be 4 quarter-pound patties. And then, as I said, cast iron skillet. Heat up the remaining oil or butter, as I would use, over a medium-high heat. And then you're going to cook the patties in that butter medium to medium well. That's about 8 to 10 minutes on each side, depending on how thick you make your burgers. Now, if you're using goat meat, don't skimp on the oil. Grass-fed Chevon burger is very lean. It needs the fat to help retain moisture and to prevent it from sticking on the grill or in the pan. All right, that's it for today's Peaceful Heart FarmCast. If you're keeping up with the activities on the homestead, let me know what questions you have about what we do and why. All right, just go to the website and you can comment on this podcast on the website www.peacefulheartfarm.com and click on podcasts, and this one will be at the top of the list. And as you move closer to the celebration of Father's Day in a couple of weeks, why not contemplate why this structural tradition has been in place for as long as it has? And there's nothing better than smiling across the table at your dad while chomping on a delicious gourmet grilled grass-fed burger with all the trimmings. If you enjoyed this podcast, please hop over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, and give me a 5-star rating and review. I would so appreciate it. Also, please share with any friends or family who you think might be interested in this type of content. As always, I'm here to help you taste the traditional touch. Thank you so much for stopping by the homestead. And until next time, may God fill your life with grace and peace.